We're going to be talking about marketing, membership, and events as it pertains to all of your chapters and components. So I see a bunch of people are still filing in right now. For everyone we got in here, I'll take the moment. Can everyone just type into the chat or the Q&A box? Can you hear me okay? And is the screen coming through? You guys send that over. Just type it in for us. Let us know that everything is A-okay on the technology. Awesome. Diana, what's going on? Great to see you. Miss Cindy, Jennifer, Amanda. Got the ladies in here today, which is great. Welcome, everybody. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started a minute in here. So if you got your lunch, go ahead and get that all prepared and ready to listen. Get your notebook ready. We got a lot of really great stuff to go over today. So it looks like everything is good on the tech side. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Just a reminder, a big thanks goes out to Claudia Haas, who was originally the one that sent us the tools and template playbook that she built for her association that we've then modified and expanded and evolved into what we're going over today for part 2. Just for any new faces, which I do see some out there today, my name is Kyle Bazzi. I am the Director of Growth here at Bill Highway. And if you're wondering what Bill Highway is, the question we ask is if you have chapters, we can help. And we've been around for about 18 years, so a lot of what we share and educate on is just the learnings of almost 2 decades and working with 5,000 chapters now. Okay, so let's get into what's important though. I saw this image the other day, and I thought of all of you CRPs, component relations professionals, of keeping calm and being a doer. So who's ready to make things happen today? There's 4 main sections that we're going to be reviewing, okay? So the first is marketing and branding. Now, for everyone that's been on our webinars, you know that all we're talking about is how this pertains to you at your association because you're running components. So whether those are chapters or state affiliates or divisions or sections, whatever you call them, this is how do you improve marketing and branding with this chapter or affiliated operating model, okay? So the first is marketing and branding. The second, we're going to be talking around chapter websites and managing data. The third is improving member onboarding, such an important one with your chapters. And then the last one we're going to be talking about today is the events. Now, my marketing team is going to be dropping the link into the chat box for the chapter playbook that we showed on that opening slide. So this all correlates to that playbook. We're going to be expanding upon a lot of this stuff throughout the year on future webinars. The playbook was kind of that overview of all the different parts that go into what makes a CRP, okay? So real quick, here's what I want you to do. And you don't have to share this with us, but you can if you want to. Out of these 4 key points here, I want you to prioritize for yourself on a little piece of note paper or on your Evernote, however you take notes. What are the priorities in your mind? I don't care about your executive staff right now at HQ. I always care about your chapters, but let's set them aside right now. I care about what you think. What are the priorities that you see on the screen? I want you to list them in the most important to the least important. Now, it doesn't mean that the least important isn't important, right? It just means that you got to prioritize to start tackling things. So I want you to write down and think between marketing and branding or the chapter websites and managing the data or helping the chapters improve member onboarding or, gosh, events are so important for our association. And our chapters are all doing them differently. And if we could provide a consistent event, it would improve the association. What are your top priorities as a CRP right now? I have a question here from Dana. Are you referring to chapter websites, sorry, I can't see the whole question, website data or chapter data in general? Chapter data in general, Diana, is what I'm referring to there. Good question. Okay. So as you prioritize, let's go ahead and jump into this. So we're going to start with marketing. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and we've been hearing a lot from people like you in the association world, is there is a clear lack of almost starting with marketing. And what I mean by starting is, have we developed, defined, and shared the who for the association, right? So everyone's typically familiar with the vision statement and mission statement of a nonprofit association. Your chapters are typically aligned with that because if they're volunteering, and I know a lot of them are staff, but if they're volunteering or they're staff, they did it because they want to make an impact. But the next logical step for marketing that can often be missed is the who. I see a gap in this because you as CRPs are not on the marketing team typically, and the marketing team is not typically interacting with the people running the chapter relations at the organization, at the association. So there's a template here. If this is one of the key challenges for you, we have a lot of these links. So just as I'm going through the webinar today, just type into the chat. My marketing team is monitoring the chat. If you say, oh, I really want what's on the screen right now, just send us a note and we'll get that to you after the webinar today. But the first one, and this is a very high level kind of buyer's persona. And one thing that I'm going to hit on, and I'm not sure how this resonates with everybody, but I'm going to throw it out there. It is a buyer's persona. You are looking for the description and the background, the demographics, and details around that for 1 to 3 different personas that purchase memberships from your association, okay? Now, what the goal is here is not necessarily for you to create this. It's for you to communicate with the marketing team at HQ and say, hey, what are our personas? And you can use this as an example of something you saw that you were wondering if they had built out. And you can frame it as this. If you can give me this, I'm going to work to communicate it on down to the chapter level to help them get better at understanding who they're marketing to so we can increase sales. That might be for membership or events or any non-dues revenue. But this allows you to help frame up for these chapter volunteers or staff who typically aren't marketing experts. You can give them a tool that's very, very impactful directly to the bottom line because they can start understanding how to reflect that. So let me ask, does anyone have marketing personas that are out there right now? And I see a couple people, Kristen and Megan just asked for the template. We will absolutely get this to you all after the webinar. So yeah, definitely if you guys want this, let us know. We will get you the link afterwards. So let me know too, how many of you have marketing personas at HQ? Can you all let us know that? Type into the chat real quick, just a quick Y for yes, N for no. And if you do, have you rolled those out to the chapter? Okay. If you do, have you rolled those out to the chapter? So part 1, does HQ have marketing personas? And if so, the second part of the question is, have you rolled those out to the chapters? If not, circle that one. That's definitely something that could make an impact depending on where your priorities are. All right, so this is just another breakdown or template if you want to dive deeper into one persona. And I got it, you got to love the name here. Sample Sally is here. Now, what I like about this, everyone, is these don't resonate. They're blank faces. It's actually kind of scary now that I look at it. But here, if you want a picture that resonates with who your members are, because as you're marketing, this is very important for them to feel who your members are. For the people that's sending out an email marketing blast for an event or creating the event experience, put a picture in their mind. Put it in their mind to help them feel who they're doing it for. And then this is just some simple, very marketing 101 kind of breakdown. And you don't, keep it simple. Complicated doesn't mean it's good, right? This simple template will get you 80% of the way there. What's their background? What are the demographics? What are their goals as an individual? So when I'm signing up for your association, understand what my goals are. Am I an individual member versus a corporate member? If the corporate member signs up and you give them 10 memberships individually or for people at the corporate or corporation, what are those individuals' goals with engaging with the association? Is it new business? Is it career? Is it education? Is it certification? What are their hobbies and interests? And even get outside the association world. What's their hobbies and interests just as people, as well as challenges? And then this is a really good one here, is what are their common objections to signing up for the association? And I'm going to give you a hint. If your answer is you don't know, that's something, again, to go back to marketing to, okay? Go back to marketing and ask them for a survey to give to your chapters to help bring that feedback to the organization, okay? And then what are their biggest fears? So really just getting to know somebody. It's almost like a Match.com profile for your membership. I guess that kind of gives away that I've been on Match.com. All right, so we wanted to give a quick example here, transitioning from personas to brand. All right. Now, again, I know this doesn't fall typically under the component relations professional or the chapter relations title that you may have. So if you need to work with your marketing team, the goal here is to frame up a story to ask them for tools and resources for you to then roll out to your chapter leaders. Okay. So this was in a ASAE article with the American Planning Association. So the branding problem, and let me know if this resonates, the branding problem was there was different views about how members contributed to their communities. There was different colors, typography, etc. on websites, on marketing materials, on email templates, at events, between the chapters and the HQ, or just between chapter to chapter. Varying messages, how you explain the value prop of membership, or explain the value prop of an event, or of the association's mission. Another problem was complaints from members regarding communications. So I will give you guys a quick little story on that too. Recently we did a survey and we called 50 associations, and then we called their chapters. And we were trying to survey to figure out some important data points for some research we're putting together. And I was, and I'm sure that you all know this, but it was a little shocking, the gap in the level of customer service that existed when we were asking about membership, when we were calling HQ, and when we were calling chapters. I understand the chapters more because they're volunteers, but when we called HQ, there were a handful of them that we never even got someone to pick up the phone. So understanding the complaints from members regarding that communication, if they couldn't differentiate between chapter and national, urgent versus non-urgent. Like if someone's calling to sign up, that's an urgent, I got to get on the phone with them to close this member, versus non-urgent, which might be something about an event that's 3 months from now. So in this article that we'll drop into the chat for you, the solution that they outline is retained logo. So making sure that you have some strategy around the logo for strong brand recognition. Keeping it simple for chapters. So lay it out for them in a way where this is what we want the logo to look like, and give them some options. Maybe the signature, color palettes. When we say signature, that could be in like an email. Color palettes that they should be using for their websites. The newsletter masthead, letterhead system, right? So there's various ways to keep that consistent branding. So if you go to your marketing team, ask for these things. What do they see it looking like? And then even if you can't, so I see some names in here that I can feel them screaming at me through the computer screen right now. Kyle, I work with a federated system. I can't make them do anything. I understand that. I'm not saying rolling out a mandated system, but get started somewhere, show the value of it, and then roll that out to your other chapters, okay? There's a way to get adoption even in that federated system. So we'll drop that link for you in the chat so you can check out what the American Planning Association did around the marketing. Okay, so continuing on our marketing theme, this is a really big takeaway that we're going to talk about today. And you'll see that there's a reference to page 7 on that chapter playbook that we created a few months ago. So email marketing templates. These are different ideas for potential email templates that you could or should consider providing to your chapters. Now, I recognize that this is going to depend on what kind of association you are. But just here's some ideas, and then we're going to go over a quick little layout of an email template. So monthly e-newsletter, if that's something that is key to the association. New member onboarding series. gosh, I would circle that one, guys. That one has to be important to the association. Renewal reminders, if that's being done at the chapter level. Thank you emails, no doubt. We should have a thank you email template. So if somebody comes to an event, it's very simple for your chapter to blast everyone out and say thank you for coming. Member benefit reminders, event invitation or invitations and reminders, education opportunities. So remember, chapters, we understand there's probably disparate systems and they might not, one chapter might be really good at doing this versus another, but there can be a uniform way that you're asking them to do it. And then if you can show results off of that, that is something you can take with that data and spread the message to the other chapters. So here's some simple tools. If you don't have a unified email system, which most don't, to their chapters, we just threw a couple of examples down here that would work really well. And you could even, like in a MailChimp, you could upload the templates so they can save them in there, okay? So kind of a cool little feature there. So if you want, I got this blog post that actually lays out a few different versions of an email template. So if you want that, let us know. Type in right now, and we will we'll make sure that you get this. Okay. So the email template, I wanted to kind of just outline something real quick. And again, keep it simple. Your chapter leaders are obviously not marketing gurus, unless maybe you're the American Marketing Association. So in the blog post we'll send out, if you want it, so type in and we'll send that to you, is they kind of break down to like single column or double column and things like that. But there's a couple of core concepts, right? And that is, in today's world, a day and age, I should say, more than ever, you have to have a very clear value prop that grabs the reader's attention, okay? So this single column allows you to have one very clear message, because often you'll see that chapter leaders will send out emails and you can't tell what they're trying to get accomplished because it's all over the place with 6 calls to actions, right? But let's say you were sending out for an event. You have this effective headline and give some examples of what you've seen work really well. And maybe you survey your chapter leaders. Hey, who has created really great emails and had a lot of success in marketing events through emails? And then see what they're doing. So don't recreate the wheel. You don't have to be a marketing guru yourself. There's ways to either engage marketing at HQ and ask for help and support, or go to your chapters. There, I guarantee you, if you haven't asked, some of them are already doing it really, really well. And then take that and spread that as a best practice to other chapters, okay? And then you'll see it's a very simple design, and then they have a prominent call to action. Now, here's something I want to ask you right now is, can you guess what these 4 little circles are at the bottom? Can anyone guess what those are? I'm waiting for someone to answer in. Yes, that's right, social buttons. So it's 100% right. So you already know they're social buttons, right? So when I say don't recreate the wheel, there's ways of doing this that people are already familiar with what an email layout will look like, okay? So use that because it'll help add comfort to your members or non-members when you're trying to get them to take an action, i.e. sign up for membership or click the renewal button to obviously renew their membership. You name it, whatever the call to action is. But you can see, without even showing you logos, you knew what those were. So these kind of templates, you can see the power of them when you keep things very simple for the reader, okay? Especially because so many people are opening them up on their smartphones now and answering emails there. There is a lot of power and a lot of value and impact in doing something like that, okay? So let us know if you want us to send you some templates for email marketing that you can then put into a format or into a Google Doc to share with all your chapter leaders, okay? All right, moving on. Chapter website. Again, that was a brief outline of some marketing tools and tips to help improve the chapter operations, okay? We understand that chapter, you might have questions at HQ asking, why do we have chapters, or what are we getting out of them? And we understand it's hard to quantify that at times because it's hard to get the data. But let's say you roll this out and you could get feedback and real data from your chapters on what's it's improving. that's something you can share as a direct benefit to HQ. So you can't maybe measure the whole thing, but you can start showing when we provide tools, it creates impact for the entire association. All right. So we're going to be diving into more marketing concepts throughout the year in future webinars. By the way, just so you know, the way that we come up with the next webinar is by hearing from you. So the more of you that want to see stuff like this, let us know, and that'll be things that we dive in and research and then start pulling out really good tools and examples for you. Okay, switching gears to our second bullet point for today is chapter website. So I think we're all on the same page today that your website is more than just an online brochure, but I can guarantee some of you are cringing if you close your eyes and think about your chapter website that you visited. I don't know if you're like me, but if I go to a website and the first thing I see is it says, hey, come attend our event on May 17th, 2014. It just drives me absolutely bonkers. And if that was the experience for a non-member, you're losing an incredible amount of conversions, because they look at that saying, well, this isn't relevant, or this chapter must be closed down. So websites are extremely important. Today, when you go to buy something, think about how much you research online, all right? Let that sink in. You Google the company, you look at all these things online before you make a decision. Well, if the first thing I do is Google, the American Sales Association, and I'm just making this up, but in Detroit, where I'm from, and the first thing I see is a bunch of dates from 2014 or 15, I'm already so turned off on the prospect of signing up for this association, okay? So that's the importance of chapter websites. The virtual representation of the organization and that specific chapter. Members make decisions, membership decisions, event decisions, education, certification decisions, based on the website. They will not take the time to talk to you. And if they did, assume that one person that reached out, there's 20 more that didn't, okay? That is a safe assumption. So how can National help in setting chapters up for success with their websites? Okay, so here's a few different ways that we've seen it done. And this, everyone's gonna have a different need or flavor here on the webinar. But the first is obviously the technology. So if you are unable to provide a unified system for websites, i.e. there's some AMSs that allow all of your chapters to create the website through there, like MemberZone or your membership. If you can't do that, can you provide a website template, right? Similar to what we're talking about with emails, can you provide a layout template for the website that's expected with maybe certain sections on there that are required, like About Us, and how you want the About Us to look, okay? But then they might be able to add their own flavor beyond that, but at least you have some core principles that are baked into the website. Hosting. We've seen national associations deem this so important because of the way people are researching membership today. And look, if you're a construction trade association, I would still say it's wicked important, but maybe you don't find that. Maybe this is more pertains to individual membership because you have a younger generation signing up, okay? I can tell you if your association is focused on a younger demographic or millennials, not that those two are the same, because a younger demographic might be people in their 40s for your association. I can guarantee you there is a level of expectation from when they search for you online or their mobile phone. So that's the other thing too, is if I go on my smartphone and I look at your website at the chapter and I can't read it because it's not mobile friendly, you're losing so many potential buyers, okay? And then also a preferred vendors list. So again, if you can't roll out a unified technology, who are the 3 providers that are affordable and you prefer for your chapters? So at least you can still get some consistency with that. And then when you roll out the website templates, here's the 3 vendors or 2 vendors that we would suggest if you're looking for something. All right? Content. So member benefits. Again, if it's all over the place, if you have an affiliation agreement, or even if you laid out how you want this to look and you told them, have you given them a template of how you want the member benefits to look on the website? Okay, mission and vision. Again, this one I would say is the most consistent, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong about that. If you're like Kyle, this is not consistent in a lot of them. Let us know. But mission and vision I see is typically consistent on Chapters to HQ's websites. And then overall messaging. Okay, so the member benefits is obviously very important, but the overall messaging. One question I have, and this baffles me, but you guys let me know if I'm wrong. Why, when I go to when I go to websites, and this happens at even the HQ website a lot, why do you hide the join me button or join membership or membership sign up button? Some associations, it takes me like 4 clicks just to get to the join application or the options for membership, and especially on Chapters, like they won't have the join button anywhere. I'm wondering, I am curious about that if anyone has any thoughts on it. I see a lot of people asking for templates and all this stuff. So yeah, Sarah, Megan, Jada, Cindy, Kristen, we'll definitely get you guys this stuff. But yeah, I'm always curious on that because that's part of the overall messaging and the overall purpose of the website, right? So we can help out with content. So last on here is support. What are the ways that you can help with support? And this is a lot of training, right? So how to start a chapter website. Again, you got to have a level of empathy for your chapter leaders, whether they're staff or volunteers, that they're not web gurus, right? So how to start and how to maintain a site. And obviously, simple is so much better than complicated, right? So this doesn't have to be an expert state-of-the-art website. It's just something simple that meets the level of expectations from your members. And then how to optimize usage. Those could be things like, hey, if you go do an audit on your websites right now, right? So Diana, I know you're in here. If you do an audit on your websites and you find that 7 out of how many you have, that they are not optimized for SEO, and that's something you can do very, very simple, easily by using free tools online. To if you just Google what's my website's SEO, there'll be tools where you can plug in a URL and they will score your website for SEO, search engine optimization. So that's when people are searching words in Google, because I don't think anyone really uses Bing or anything else, so let's just call it Google, that your website shows up on the first page, right? So that's ways to help educate your chapters to get them to change. If you go to them and say, hey, the average SEO score for our chapters in our association is X, and you are 20% behind, let us help you with a better layout or template. Why don't you switch over to one of the preferred vendors, or even if National's offering a website, right? There's ways to help make, engage change with your chapter leaders, okay? Any questions on chapter websites? I see a lot of feedback coming in, which is great. But let's go and keep moving. If you got questions, I'll definitely answer those at the end too. Okay. We're about 29 minutes in to your lunch. You're probably done with your chicken salad sandwich. But what I want to talk about, this next one is like uber important. Okay, I think the other ones are pretty not self-explanatory. They're going to take work, but they're simple to understand. Like, we know the chapter websites need to be better, Kyle. This is one that I do not hear being talked about. And I want to talk about your membership onboarding, okay? So I want engagement on this one, and I know I'm getting a little bossy here on a Thursday. What is your standard membership onboarding? How does HQ expect your chapters to onboard members, okay? What I'm asking is, have you guys as an organization concentrated on the early experiences of members and what that does to growth and retention? So there is a plethora of data out there that explains that the first year of membership, the first month of membership, is the key to unlocking years of retention, okay? Write that down and understand that. The first month of membership is the key to unlocking years and years and years of retention from members, okay? The reason being is the expectations are set in those first 30 days. First impressions are everything, okay? So your chapters, when HQ asks why is it important for our chapters, so we just read a paper from a very big association, 100 plus chapters, and they found that so they're an organization, and I know every association is different. A member could be a member of the chapter, a member could be a member of HQ only, or a member could be a member of both. Okay, so in 2 out of those 3 examples I just gave you, the member is a member of the chapter. All right. And in 1, it's a member of just HQ and not a chapter. Listen to this very carefully. They found that when a member was a member of a chapter, that their retention was 24.8% higher than when they were just a member of HQ. 24% higher. Why? Because they had that engagement. You have an opportunity to create a much better impression when you onboard these members. Your chapters, there's an incredible amount of untapped potential for your organization when your chapters do this onboarding, membership onboarding, a lot better, okay? All right, let me get off my pedal stool here and dive into the slide now, okay? So we got a link here that we're going to send out to you, but it's about fueling the new member experience, all right? Amanda Kaiser came out with an ebook that talks about orchestrating first impressions. In this ebook, it specifically addresses the leverage you have with your chapters. Set the state for a mind-blowing member culture. So let me give an example. When a member walks in, and this is in the ebook, when a member walks into a chapter event, it doesn't matter if it's a 1,000-person conference or a 30-person meetup. When they walk in, what's their first experience? What's their first impression? How do they feel if they're a new member? They don't know anybody there yet. Do you have a process in place that you share with your chapters that when someone walks in, you have somebody greeting them at the door? That little thing, right, I just said to you, can fundamentally improve your retention rate. Because when someone walks in, they feel like they belong. Whereas if they walk in and there's a speaker presenting and maybe they walked in a couple minutes late and the person never got welcomed, maybe they stayed for the presentation and just left and no one talked to them, you just missed out on a huge opportunity for retention, all right? So that's what we mean by orchestrating those first impressions and setting the state of mind, or setting the stage for a mind-blowing member culture, okay? That's leveraging your association's value trigger points. So this ebook is phenomenal. So let us know if you want the ebook, or my marketing team will also drop it into the chat box, okay? So ask yourself some questions right now, and you can close your eyes and think, like, what are we doing for membership onboarding? Maybe one thing you need to do is put something on your VP of memberships, or maybe that's marketing, whatever that role is at your association. Engage with them. Maybe it's you, and ask what is the best membership onboarding that we know right now. And then the next question is, how do we lay that out to roll it out to the chapters, okay? So again, I say the word steal, but not in a negative connotation. Steal from your best chapters. Go around and find the best practices, and then take those best practices and roll them out to the rest of your chapters. There is somebody in your organization, there's a chapter leader out there that's amazing at this. Find them, okay? So once you find them, then figure out a way to scale that to the rest of the chapters. This is so important. And this is also something that you can directly measure, right? You can directly measure to show the change in time and what that does for the organization's bottom line. And that is a number you can take to your executives to tell a story about why chapters are important. All right? All right. So onboarding new members face-to-face. Here's a couple, we want to give you a few examples or a few different kind of thought-provoking activities. So new member mingle. This is, I heard someone tell me this the other day. I think I was at MMNC in DC last week when I heard this. It was, nobody wants to sign up for new member orientation. right? No one wants to sign up. No one likes orientation, right? If you rather put there, or if you put instead, meet the president or new member mingle, meet the president, right? Everybody wants to do that, right? And so it might be the exact same content, but just change the messaging and get new members there to meet the chapter president, or to meet other new members, or to meet members that have been there for a long time, whatever the value is at your organization, right? Maybe it's a trade association where it's new business, so they're meeting, I don't know, the state DOD or something like that, who gives business to your members. Engage them with the value prop that your association delivers, okay? How many of you are doing this right now? This is a very simple concept. I didn't say it was easy. It's a very simple concept. If it was easy, I promise you'd already be doing it, or it wasn't that impactful, okay? But this is, and it is very simple to set something up like this. Once a quarter, right? Once a quarter to do something like this, okay? All right, next one, the buddy system. This is a really cool concept of when new members come in, part of their onboarding experience is pairing them with a established and very engaged and hands-on existing member. This helps you do two things, actually. It helps you keep your existing members engaged with the association, but it also helps your new members get onboarded, okay? So I'm not necessarily talking about a mentorship program, but that could be part of it for your younger members. But I'm talking about a buddy system. So even if a company signs up for your association, because maybe that you're a trade association, pair them up with a company that's been there for a long time, because then they have an open dialogue to ask questions around what's the value you get out of this, how much business have you gotten out of this, and if it's a professional association membership, maybe it's career networking, maybe it's just getting comfortable with coming to events, because nobody likes to go to an event that you don't know anyone there, right? So now when you establish this buddy system, there is a open lines of communication that helps just ingrain the value prop of the association with those members, okay? So the buddy system is a really good one. And look, doing things in person isn't always possible or financially feasible. So you also can create remote hangouts for free, right? So this is, you can do Google Hangouts, you can do Skype calls, wherever you can meet your members at, and offer remote or virtual hangouts for large chapters or traveling members. Maybe you have a state affiliate system. So it's not always, if you're in Texas, you can't always just meet in Houston for maybe this new member mingle, and everyone's going to come, right? Because they don't want to travel 4 hours across the state. So do remote hangouts. Offer them a different way to engage with new members and put a face to it. When you do hangouts like on Google, which are free, and people are seeing each other's face, it's a really cool experience to create that value prop again. All right. I spent a little bit of time on these slides because, folks, this is so important, and it is a tool that as a CRP you can use to improve the member experience, ultimately creating more value for the association. That is something HQ can get behind. Whew. You guys are like, Kyle, you're on fire today. I'm pumped up. It's been a while since we've done a webinar, so I'm just excited for today. So if you guys are feeling that energy, or you need to get another cup of coffee, you better bring it. We got a couple more points to go over. All right, so next is member management. This is, I will say, one of the more difficult ones, okay? And often, unfortunately, this one gets complicated, all right? So membership onboarding is simple. All right, you create the onboarding experience that you know works, and you roll it out to the chapters. I didn't say it was easy. Difference between simple and complicated, easy and hard, but it's simple. Membership management gets complicated, unfortunately, and that's because you have to have a certain level of technology at the chapter level, okay? And so first and foremost, let's understand why member management is important. And when this is the common scenario I see in association, regardless of your structure of federation or if it's chartered or the control that HQ has. Typically HQ, I haven't met an association HQ that doesn't have some version of a, an AMS or a membership management system or a database, okay? Sometimes they'll have a portal for chapter leaders to log in and look at their current snapshot of membership roster, okay? And then that's about it. That chapter now is either downloading that into an Excel spreadsheet, maybe they're a huge chapter and they got their own technology that they're exporting it to, or I've seen it being managed in like Constant Contact before, which is really a communication tool, not a membership management tool. And the problem with that is the kind of the questions we're asking here. How do chapters measure their retention? How do chapters engage their members better? What are the tools they have to do that? What are the chapters doing to get members to attend events, right? Without a proper data management system, this all becomes very, very complicated, all right? So helping them understand the why and how properly managed member data can be a huge role player in being a high-performing chapter, okay? So if you look at all your chapters right now, and I hope you have this kind of stuff in your spreadsheets of the ones that, even if you're just subjectively scoring, which ones are great, okay? Just subjectively go through and bucket them. Great, good, bad. Which ones are great, which ones are good, which ones are bad. And then after you put them into those subjective buckets, now figure out what data do you have. So what is the 3-year running retention rate for each bucket, okay? What is the 3-year running growth rate at each bucket? Typically, those are the two stats that you can get because typically these chapters have to be reporting at least once a year. Now, if they are or not, or if they're doing it well or not is a totally different question, probably a totally different webinar. But start figuring out what that looks like and then see if you can correlate. The chapters that are running really well, do they have technology in place? Now, again, you might be yelling at me saying, well, Kyle, our small ones don't have the money. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for you and say they don't have to have the same level of technology. There's cheaper versions of databases out there. Don't have all the bells and whistles. Maybe don't have the great customer support the big ones do. But that can play a role in improving the data, how they use the data at your chapters, okay? So that's the importance. So how is National helping chapters manage better data? So first, I think we've kind of talked a little bit about is providing the technology, which I understand can get expensive. So, or audit what the chapters are currently doing and how you can help. So again, I go back to these best practices. If you list out your great, good, and bad, which chapters are in the good and bad regions of that layout, and can you audit what their current technology stack is to say, hey, here's some best practices that we think that you should take a look at because it can help you, okay? Expectations. So set clear and firm expectations for how member data should be managed. There's not going to be a lot of chapter volunteers or chapter leaders that might be even the staff that are technology gurus, that are membership data gurus. So help bring best practices. Go to your IT director and sit them down and ask them, kind of lay out the problems that you're seeing, and if they could provide some insight or best practices to take to your chapters. And maybe your IT director isn't the best, okay? Find one that is. Network. Most of you on here are in DC or Chicago, and even if you're not, ask us. We will help connect you with a great IT director that can provide you best practices, okay? And the IT directors, again, are at associations with chapters, and we will help connect you with one that has the same structure that you do that can help give you best practices, okay? All right, training. So again, this has kind of been on every slide, is conducting training for chapter leaders to help define those processes and expectations. Now here, I'm going to say something to you all that if you haven't mastered this, I'm sure your chapters have a lot of problems with you. Is when you go to conduct training, it has to be from a point of view of we are here to help. I am here to help you guys get better. And here's the feedback that you've given me, that you want training for how to leverage your data better. So that's what I'm providing. If that's the way you come off, you're really on the right track. if you come off of saying your guys' databases suck, and I'm sorry to use that word, but your databases are terrible and we're going to tell you how to do it, you are setting yourself up for failure, okay? Now, how many of you are shaking your heads right now where you've seen your organization, maybe not you, maybe you, if it's you, I want you to write down a goal on the piece of paper you're taking notes on, saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. But maybe even the HQ, that's just been their plan of messaging to the chapters, is telling them what's best for them. Don't do that. Get feedback and make it their idea. That will be a fundamental shift in how your chapters interact with HQ. That definitely is your responsibility. And there's some people in here, everyone. So for our new faces, there's some people in here that do it really well. I'm looking at the attendee list right now. There are some CRPs in this webinar that do that incredibly well. Okay, moving on here. Conference playbook. So one thing, I got a really good tool coming up here in just a second. This could be conferences, this could be events. There's a few key points in here to help increase revenue, non-dues revenue, at the chapters. So for instance, how can you help me generate more sponsorship revenue? Have you guys ever seen a template? If you want this, let us know. A template of listing out all of the assets that you have at a conference. And what I mean by assets is there opportunities for a sponsor to sponsor the Wi-Fi logins, or sponsor the lanyards, or sponsor the registration desk, or sponsor the podiums that the speakers speak at? Have you gone through and provided a template of all the different opportunities that your chapters could be monetizing at their conferences or events? That is a very simple tool that can make an immediate impact on the events coming up. Even if they got one next month, that can help them create more revenue, okay? Is by listing out all of those assets. And the next slide is going to be an example of a template for the tiered sponsorships. So we'll go over that in just a second. But the conference playbook, going back, so let's even talk about making this just easier for the chapters. You know, especially if you have new volunteers or new chapter leaders, you know, what should they know about moving in and out of a venue? Simple things that if you've never ran at a conference or event, you don't think about, like height and weight restrictions of loading docks and elevators. You know, can you help them design the event space, right? Optimizing for networking. Again, creating that experience for peak member interest. Do you know of a template that your chapters have done that works just incredibly well? And can you share that with the chapter leaders? And then other kind of logistical issues like shipping assistance that you could provide with exhibitors and members. Again, depending on if you're throwing, your chapters are throwing full-blown conferences or maybe even just speaking events. I'm sorry, the template's on the next slide. We got one more to go. Event registration. So I'm not going to walk through each one of these because we send out the this webinar PowerPoint after. But there's some other suggestions to make sure that if you create a template, or maybe you have a template right now, or a playbook for your chapters, here's some other things to think through that you should have included, right? So here's a good one. Sample event registration forms for cancellations or refunds or substitutions, pricing, best practices or a list of tools or preferred providers for certain things. We'll send this out and take a look at this. And again, it's in that chapter playbook that we created to make sure, even if you already have a playbook for them, for your chapters, for their conferences and events, these are some really great ideas to make sure that are in there. Gosh, I keep lying to you. I think the template's on the next slide. I'm not going to tell you for sure now. I do have a template coming up I really want you to see. So event promotion. I'm going to do something similar on this slide. Here's some bullet points to make sure, it's kind of like ground rules for your chapters as they're promoting events, right? So ask for input up front. Make sure your chapters are asking the members what kind of event they need and want. If your chapters aren't doing that, it makes it really tough to understand how to design a really great experience. But help them with selecting convenient, affordable locations. Make sure they're checking the calendar, not competing with similar events. It seems simple, but a lot of people don't do that. Okay, so there's some really great tips and tricks in here to add to whatever you're using to communicate to your chapters about event promotion. And then this kind of goes over the event sponsor opportunities. We talked about the assets, right? But if you're interested, there's a really great example out there of an association, and this is FEI, that created a CRM of sponsors. And what this did was allowed the national headquarters to lend support to the chapters with actual companies that wanted more events to sponsor in that industry. Okay, so some really, really cool tips and tricks, and we have a lot in the playbook for you for how HQ can increase sponsorship opportunities for the chapters. All right, I told you I didn't lie to you. Here is the template. And again, we got a few of these, so send us a message and we'll give this to you all as another tool, okay? Is you can see up top here across the columns, there's the different levels of sponsorship and the prices. And again, you can edit this for whatever that looks like. What I liked about this template was you had pre-event opportunities or recognition, during event opportunities or recognition, and then post-event recognition. How often have you seen a chapter just concentrate what happens at the event? There's so many other opportunities before and after, okay? Even I've seen associations do this really well. Where they'll give social media call-outs to the sponsors, right? And there's so many assets that you could have your chapters leverage to create more revenue. All right, so creating this template for your chapters would be uber important. So just to go over kind of we went over a few slides there for the events. So one is marketing, right? The description of strategy and tactics, the promotion, the registration, the experience of your members from the first time they hear about the event to when they go to the event to the post communication of the event, right? The marketing support is greatly needed. And then statistics. So there's a really big, or I should say important message out there of if you threw an event this year and you are going to be throwing one again next year and the similar sponsors or the same sponsors are coming back, did you make sure that you had statistics from the event? Did your chapters calculate the correct numbers to deliver in a appropriate format to your sponsors so they knew how impactful it was? And let's say somebody signed up for the lower level, the champion or the partner. If you want to get more of the bigger sponsorships, show them why with data they should do that the following year, okay? And then feedback and evaluations from attendees and sponsorships. Make sure that your chapters are doing something to get feedback. If they don't have anything, shoot us a message. We'll get you feedback surveys for events, all right? That's very simple for your chapters to send out, okay? All right, how are we feeling out there? I think this is, I will go out there on a limb and say, the most engagement we've had in a webinar. So thank you. I'm glad. I'm taking that as you got a lot out of it. But please give us feedback on these webinars. So let us know if you're, you got a lot of value out of today. There's something we are announcing here, again for free. You're never sold anything in our webinars. I know the Dianas and the Cindys and the Claudias in here. I already know that. But there's a lot of new faces. So you'll never be sold anything in our webinars. But one thing I wanted to announce today was the official launch of our CRP online community. So again, we're trying something new for people like you. It's going to be on LinkedIn. And here's an example post that just came through. So somebody was talking about a listening tour and engaging and understanding your chapter's needs. And you can see Patrick is from the Global Business Travel Association. He's one of our CRP admins on this. So this is community driven. So if you love these webinars, you love the roundtables we do in DC and Alexandria and Reston and Chicago, and you want more of it, we've created an online community for you where you can get engaged and continue the conversation amongst yourselves, okay? Meet each other, find others that are doing really great things. If you're launching a project right now, ask other CRPs how they're doing it. Tips and tricks, best practices, pitfalls, you name it, okay? These webinars are a culmination of your guys' feedback anyway, so you might as well start connecting and getting value out of that. So if you want, contact Mark here Bill Highway, Mark Prevost. You see his email right here, mprevost@billhighway.com, and he will get you hooked up in the LinkedIn online community called Component Relations Community, I believe it is. But email Mark, and he'll get a lot of other CRPs that are out there, okay? Especially for you that are not in DC, and you can't just go network as much as other CRPs can. All right, so that is it for today. I'm going to start going through some Q&A here. If you need to jump off, thank you so much for joining today. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you have feedback for us and topics you want us to cover, or on how we can do this better, or Kyle, Thursdays at lunch, can you throw some variety in there and do ones at different times? Just let us know. We're here for you, and we love doing this stuff. So thanks for joining. I'm going to go over some questions here real quick that are in the Q&A, and let's take a shot at these. Wow, we have a ton of feedback today. I see a lot of people saying we're not doing a lot of these things. Please send me the templates. That's great. So we need more ideas about monetization at conferences we have in 1 to 2 months. So Kristen, this is great. We're going to connect with you to give you some more opportunities. I listed a couple, but make sure that Wi-Fi is being sponsored. Make sure that the lanyards, we talked about the event registration desk. What about dedicating one email after the event? What about social media shares to the actual sponsors? One idea, Kristen, to be honest, is I can list out 35 things for you, but go to your sponsors and ask, what do they want? So that's a really good exercise, is go to these sponsors that are either already signed up or prospective sponsors, and just ask the question, hey, here's what we're offering right now, but is there anything else that you would like to see us do that you would be willing to sponsor? Okay. Now, they might send you a bunch of stuff that you can't do, but that can generate some really good ideas of what your sponsors are willing to pay. Let's see. Do you have suggestions? So this came from Cindy. It's great to see you again, Cindy. Do you have suggestions for lower cost data management tools? We absolutely do. So there are some programs out there, like if you want to write this down, it was called Member Zone. Now it's called Growth Zone. That is a chapter-based membership management system. There is Star Chapter. There is Wild Apricot or Apricot, potatoes. There is a couple others too, cities that we'll send you, but those are the 3 that come just off the top of my head that we see quite a bit at the chapter level. Okay, Member Zone and Growth Zone is really, really good. You pay what you get for, so they're going to be a little more expensive. Star Chapter and Wild Apricot are a little more inexpensive, or less expensive, I should say, but it doesn't have all the robust features that like a Growth Zone does. So take a look at those and let us know if you need some help kind of evaluating them. And Cindy, we also have a resource to do a kind of an AMS or data management tool evaluation. So let us know if you want that, and we can get that over to you. All right. Let's see, we got a couple more. So yes, so Kathy, I've never seen it spelled with an I. We'll get you over the branding materials that we talked about. All right. So there's a lot of other asks here for the templates, but it looks like we're at 1 o'clock here. So if we didn't get to your question, and there's actually a bunch more in here, we will make sure that we get to you. And just mention that the ebook didn't download. So, and look for our follow-up email. We're going to have the resources in there for you. Okay. Amanda, you just read the ebook and it's awesome. That's great. I love seeing that. Megan, great question. We're going to end on this one. So why does my company's SEO score matter? So Megan, I don't, this is the first time I've seen your name, so forgive me if it's not, but it depends. What I'd love to learn is what association are you at, okay? And what I explore you to do is learn how your members are finding you online, okay? So if they're finding you online, That is what your SEO is, okay? So if you don't have, so if I Google, so let's just say, I'll go back to my example earlier, the American Sales Association. And again, this is an example. I don't even know if that is an association, but American Sales Association. And if I Google, you know, meetup groups for sales professionals in Detroit, if your association's not coming up, you're losing out on revenue. Because if I'm seeing other, you know, other meetups that are not your association, and that's something that your association is doing, that is why SEO could be hurting you, because you're not capturing that revenue. You're not capturing my engagement to a local event coming up at your chapter. That's what SEO is all about, okay? All right, well, thank you, everybody. Gosh, this was an awesome one today. After skipping a couple of weeks, I feel like we came back with just a ton of momentum. So thank you all for joining. It was great to see you all. I hope you guys learned a little bit today. More importantly, I hope you can go apply what you learned and help make a better impact at your associations. Reach out to us with any other questions. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in a couple more weeks. And also make sure to get into that LinkedIn community. There's no vendors in there, okay? It's only CRPs, no vendors. It literally is just there for you to ask questions. Get help, network with other CRPs, okay? So please join us in there. If we see that that's going well, we will invest more into the online community for all of you. Until next time, have an incredible rest of your week. Hopefully the weather's turning and you can get rid of some of that cabin fever like I'm doing here in Detroit. All right, thanks everybody. Good talking to you.